All right. How are we doing now?
I don't have it, but again, I don't know if I'm in special mode or not. And the results are various negative.
Okay. All right. Well, Nick, you know what?
Everyone's saying no differently.
Nick, how about this? I'm going to turn it over to you. We're on slide 6. And then I'll let you take it away.
For sure. Unfortunately, never mind. You just did it. Nice. You've been made presenter. Oh, that's so fancy. Show my screen. And you guys let me know if you see my screen. You see a bunch of windows open? Still nothing. How about now?
There we go. Wait for it. I see something. There we go. We're good.
So now everyone sees how many different windows I have open in a given day. So I'm hitting. There we go.
There we go. Okay, if you want to slide on over.
So you get to see how attractive Laura is versus myself. You can see why I can hang out on the internet.
If you want to just skip over slide 6, we'll be good. All right, there we go.
Cool.
All right. So long story short, social media is here to stay, folks.
Agreed. Sorry, analog people.
All right, so we're going to go through how you can achieve your event goals with social. And Nick, if you want to take it away.
Absolutely. So I look at using social media to move the ball forward in 3 different segments. There's before your event, there's during your event, and there's after your event. So I think a lot of times with promoting and during the event, if for your clients, I think one of the biggest things that they miss out on for annual events is that they start up the promotion and the activity around the event during the event, or maybe a couple weeks before. You start thanking your sponsors, you start getting people excited just in the last couple weeks prior to the event. And I think that's a big miss. Whatever your clients' events are or your events are, they are the superlative of something. They're about, and you are uniquely positioned in the landscape to be the thought leader of something. So talk about what that is all year round and be a resource. That's really what content marketing is all about. And it makes it so you're not just a voice that shows up every once in a while, but you're a voice that they are used to hearing. So year-round activity is very valuable. The objection I get to that a lot is, well, what do I talk about all year? I mean, basically, I just want people to come to my event, 2 weeks before, but I don't actually have anything to talk about all year. And I say that's probably not true. I think whatever topic that your event is about, if it's about a fundraiser for heart disease, then you have a plethora of information that you can look up and distribute about that. If it's a trade show aimed at, weddings, for instance, you can talk about trends in that realm all year round. So that way, again, you don't build momentum and then lose it and have to build it again. You sustain momentum. Google Alerts makes this so easy. As opposed to having to go to Google and find it, what you do instead is you set up a Google Alert once, and you set up a digest email. It's really simple. Just hit literally Google Alerts, and you will see a little search box that at any time that there's an article written about a certain thing, it's going to come in a digest, weekly, daily, monthly, whatever you want, with a bunch of different topics. So you can weed through that and find out the content you think would be of the most value to your potential and current attendees. Beyond that, if you have speakers, or if assuming many of you have sponsors for your events or exhibitors when it comes to trade shows, see what they're doing all year round and keep promoting them. Anyone that you've had in the past, talk about your alumni speakers. You had a speaker for your event 2 years ago. Well, keep up with them. Make a list and use, and it reinforces the value of the type of person and the high quality of person that has in the past attended your event. And it also keeps some continuity with your speakers. Another example, upcoming speakers, if you have speakers or exhibitors or sponsors, give them an opportunity to reach your audience and have them have a softer landing for the attendees, and ask them, can you do a 2-minute video for me talking about why what you do and why you think that this event that you're a part of is something of value? This is all awesome content that builds the anticipation and the excitement for your event. Same thing that goes for the things that they have coming up. Leverage their social media and do retweets, or when it comes to like Facebook or Instagram, take their content and redistribute it. This is a good one. Did you know tidbits about your group and company's history? You can always distribute that. I mean, take basically the history of your company and parse it out and maybe ask questions saying, which of the following years did you think our company was founded? Stuff like that is just drip content that keeps you in the top of people's mind 365 days out of the year, as opposed to, the 2 weeks before. And this is my favorite one, video interviews with upcoming vendors or sponsors of your event. Ask them and say part of the deal of coming on as a sponsor for our event is that you have to give us 2 videos or 3 videos, whatever it is. And it's not scary. They're not highly produced. They're simply a cell phone pointed at their face with the answer to maybe 2 questions, and then you have that video as drip content, so people are excited to see you when they come. So that's before your event. During your event, this is a big one for me. I see a lot of people struggling at their events to leverage social media in the midst of it. I think that's always going to be, in the moment content is always very valuable content and stuff that people respond to. But I think what you can do is, with a little bit of pre-work, and I'm going to go into this a little bit later too, you can already have most of your information ready to go. And then what you do is you pair that with photos of things on premise that are happening in the moment. And what that does to you is that you don't have to spend all of your time at the event with your head down in your phone or at your computer off in the corner, coming up with witty, purposeful, on-campaign content, because you wrote that 30 minutes ago. What you didn't have to make it appear and have the true value of being in the moment is maybe the image collateral of the day that you're in. So imagine what the photo you'd want to have would be if you were there 3 weeks before, and write that content out, that thank you to the vendor, or saying, for instance, I don't know, let's say the rental company, they have some beautiful chairs that they have at your event. You make sure that you take a picture, you write the perfect tweet, right, a couple weeks before, and you save it in your notes in your phone, and then when you see that piece of furniture at the event, you take a picture of that and then pair it with the copy you've already written. What you have is awesome testimonials that your sponsors are going to retweet, they're going to thank you for, you're going to be able to have a better chance to retain them, and it's all because you did the work ahead of time and you didn't miss someone. And I'll get into that a little bit further on how you can do that easy. This is a big one too, so I have a shot list for my events when I cover them on social media. I say I definitely want to see a picture of someone doing this, whatever the core of your event is about. If it's a nonprofit, it's somebody bidding on an item. If it's a trade show, it's somebody at the table actually having an exchange, looking interested, looking in the eyes of the exhibitor. Stuff like that, you have a list of, you want to make sure you get those things. It's a lot more on point and a lot more powerful when you know what you're looking for, as opposed to ad hoc trying to run around and grab what you can get. So again, trade shows, I love it when attendees are talking at exhibitors. I think a lot of times people just show booth design, or they show an overview of the scale of it. I think that stuff's great. But as someone who works for a company that actually produces trade shows, it's really the value when you sell to an exhibitor is that you're going to get passionate attendees who care about what's at your booth. So make sure you have those kind of pictures. For a speaker event, you want, this again, not the thing you think, and most people are just going to take a picture of the speaker. I'm saying take a picture of an angle that shows the attendee attentively paying attention to the speaker, and also have the speaker in the same shot. I think that when it comes to your marketing and when it gets to people seeing your images, they go, oh, okay, this is what this is about. This person, emotionally is locked in. That must be a great event. Wedding is another great one. Again, you're going to do all your typical wedding photos that you would think that a wedding photographer would get. Those stuff are obviously of value for you, but I've been contracted to, even be a reporter at weddings before. But in addition to that, just as an event planner who, might have a few, weddings a month or whatever your number is, you're looking for your own photos that you can take as well for social media, so people are caught in the excitement of the event. I think one of that shows what you do as a planner show people having fun who would normally have to be doing the work, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're actually providing them an opportunity to, enjoy the day. And then testimonials, if you have the opportunity in the moment with the energy of the event to capture 2-minute videos of saying why that person, why that sponsor, why that attendee, why that exhibitor, why that speaker loved being there that day when the excitement is the peak, when you're in the midst of it. If you can get that, that's gold. And people respond to that stuff very emotionally. So that's before your event. That's during your event. After your event is interesting. I think a lot of people either miss it, or at the very least they might just do a recap photo on Facebook or something like that. I think the most important thing you can do is a post-event blog post. This will live forever, and it will be oftentimes how people find you, and it's often the best social media content that you can put out there is to drive people to your website. Social media is so great at getting people excited about your events and driving you to your website where you can talk about it further, so you can find all new people. But the most important thing you can do is to have lots of links. Make sure that the people you work with get credit. Same thing with your social media posts. When you talk about the blog post, you want to make sure that you tag in the people who contributed to the event. And then social media posts, it's like I said, social media posts about the post-event blog, as many tags as possible. Do thank you posts with as many tagged in vendors who work with you on the event as possible. They'll push it out to their people. It's all good, and really generosity is going to move the ball forward further than anything else you can do. And a post-event survey, this is an interesting thing. So I think a lot of people do post-event surveys, and I think if you don't, you should. After the event takes place, you give your, in some instances, attendees, but often clients, the opportunity to weigh in on the event. What most people do is they put in, 1 to 5. Did you think that this event was great? Would you use this again? That kind of stuff. And that stuff's good. But I'm saying add an additional item in there. And if you have the ability with your client, whatever you're using, your product rather, for surveys, to even narrow it down to like 100 characters or something like that. But just say in one sentence, what was your favorite part of working with us in this event? Just have that line in there, and make sure that somewhere in your survey you tell people that this information will be used for training, but it will also potentially be used in marketing, and have them sign off on it. What you could do is you could have each one of your clients have a ready-made tweet that you could turn into a campaign around the concept of testimonials. I think it's great. They'll write the content for you. It's going to be third-party, and it's going to be pretty effective stuff. So make sure that you capture the testimonials in that survey. Laura, do you want to intro this, or you just want to keep running?
Yes. Yeah. So next we'll talk about social media pitfalls. So we've discussed all the things that you should do before, during, and after your event. So here are the things that you definitely want to avoid. So take it away, Nick.
And I got into this a little bit. I'm gonna break this out a little bit further because I went fast. I understand. But I think this is really important. I think a lot of times the effectiveness in social media in your event, if you're covering the event in social media as an outlet of it, is I think people just say, I'm going to do social media at the event, and that's it. And they do it in the midst of it, and they get what they get, and they can't be at all places at all times. And what happens is that they think that social media is something you do as opposed to work. And most time with work, you need a plan, you need goals, and you need to be able to do some work ahead of time. So one of the easiest ways to do that, again, prior to the event, is you schedule posts in the future. You use products like Hootsuite or any number of other scheduling programs. And what you do is, let's say you know the timeline of the event. Now, I'm assuming most event planners, that's stock and trade of what you do, right? So you know at 11 o'clock there's going to be a fashion show, and you know at 12 o'clock there's going to be a meet and greet, and you know the speaker comes on at 3 or whatever. These are things you know before that day. You should know them weeks or months ahead of time. So what you do is you schedule the posts as if you are in the moment as much as you can, and say, hey, it's in 5 minutes we're going to do the fashion show. Will I see you over there? Or the so-and-so speaker is speaking in 10 minutes. Make sure you get over to exhibit room 1A or what have you. These are the kind of things that if you're covered and you know that these are happening ahead of time, you can really not have to sweat the mechanics of things you have to do, and then you can start worrying about stuff that, you know, is next level, which to me is writing posts ahead of time in your notes section, or something you have access to cut and paste from your phone or your computer, and then adding the photos of the things you saw. So I mentioned earlier about the rental company that's coming in as a sponsor. I think that that's an opportunity. I think that you know, pairing it up with that that shot list, like I said, and making sure that you get the photos that you want to have, and talk about what makes your event great, right? So you know the things that are going to be at your event. You know what your events are great. Go out and find those photos that show that. Pre-write the text that you'd want to pair with that photo, and in the moment, seemingly, you're creating awesome content. And basically, you're not doing anything that's techy or really all that smart. You just did the work ahead of time. And I think that's really a lot of what I'm talking about is making sure that you know that you don't try to do it in the moment. And this is one of my biggest fears is when you thank 9 sponsors and there were 10, right? And you did something good, right? I mean, you didn't even say necessarily built in one of the things that you get as a sponsor is you get thanked on social media. You just did it oftentimes. But what you've done is you've turned a potentially good thing into something that is now, you know, going to hurt you, because that 10th person says, what about me? Why didn't you like me? So make sure you're thorough, and the best way to do that is just to pre-write ahead of time. And the other thing is to make sure you know the social media handles of everybody involved in your event ahead of time, so you can tag them appropriately.
So we're going to go through a success story that you can share with us, right, Nick?
Absolutely. And I'm going to show you this one. This is with a company I was with last year. I think Amy is actually online with Rock the House, who I previously worked for. I just think this is a really cool example of leveraging social media at an event because it's from a bunch of different angles, and I think any one of these things is a really cool thing you can do at your event. This event just happens to have a few of them. So this is at the Council of Smaller Enterprises Small Biz Con. We were brought in to leverage social media for the conference and trade show and their nightly event. So it's multi-day. There's keynote element. There are breakout room speakers. There's a trade show. There's nightly events. So to me, it's like this is a great example to use to talk to people here, because you might be doing one of these things, maybe not all of them, and there's a few different methodologies that you can do. We just happen to do all of them at once, right? So for a trade show, used hashtagged photos to make sure exhibitors were met and promoted on social media through a scavenger hunt. So there's an app, and everybody had the app, and it told you these are the things in the scavenger hunt you had to go out on the trade show floor and take pictures of. And what there was one for every single vendor on the trade show floor, and people had to take a picture of, you know, a certain article or a certain, you know, person at the booth, and then use a hashtag on there. And then what happened is that the voting, or not the voting, but the scavenger hunt was ruled on who got the most of those things done. The net result was each one of the exhibitors were touched by every single person who participated in the scavenger hunt, and also these people had their companies put out there on social media by all the attendees. So it was kind of a 2-for-1 on that one. So I'm a big proponent of this. I do this all the time. Actually, earlier this week I was in a tent at a farm with a bunch of chefs and caterers, and we did a social media to screen product. These are great. I think these are almost a given for 3 or 4 different types of events, and then for the right events outside of those, they should be done too. But like having your social media seen and scrolled throughout an event absolutely increases the social activity of the event and allows more collateral for people involved, tighter connection to the brand, and overall just, you know, some great value. So photos with event hashtag culled and made into loop videos presented in the main hall. So day 1, we promoted the hashtag being used a lot. So people were using it and taking photos. And then day 2, went onto the social media, pulled all those images from that hashtag, created a nice simple looped video. So keynote speaker, prior to them speaking, if people are coming into the room, there's a video of everyone's photos being seen throughout the event hall. I think that was really cool. Super easy to do, very low tech, not difficult, and all because you promote the hashtag of the event. And then the last one is the one I see people doing the least, that I think that it's really, really important post-event, is you want to do is a lot of different outlets out there that allow you to do analytics on your on specific hashtags used for an event. What you can do with those hashtags is that you can see if you've got like a longer event with different components of it. There's a number of different ways to see what was popular. So, for instance, this event there was different keynote speakers throughout the day, and we could see when the most amount of tweets were happening for these keynote speakers. That's when everybody was brought in there, and that data was used to determine the following year what type, not only which speakers to potentially bring back, but also what type of speakers really resonated with people in a real way that you could, gauge. So looking at the data and the analytics around a hashtag of an event really tell you a lot of different stories. And it's out there. It's just you have to grab it. But if you don't promote that hashtag or have control over it, then it's a big miss. This shows you an example of what that room looked like with the social media. It's a screen product for that event that Rock the House did. So it was pretty cool. And that works. Social media to screen works for an event for 30 people or hundreds of people. It's actually there's a number of different outlets out there, and they're different costs and different functions. But it really spikes no matter what you do. Putting it up there spikes user activity big time.
All right. So now it's time for questions. So Emily asked, which software do you use to do a loop video of hashtagged photos during an event?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's not so much like, for instance, that event, it was not a program that I used that pulled it right from the social media. It was a little bit analog. Like I went on to Twitter and Instagram, and I pulled the images into a folder, and then I used a program that a lot of photographers use, which is called Animoto, ANIMOTO.com. And what that does is that you put a bunch of photos into a queue, and you choose the music you want. You can even have there's a nice library of public domain photos, even if you, public domain songs, and it sets the music and moves the photos to the music. So that's a really easy, anybody can use program. You can even do this from your phone. Their app works really great. And I know a lot of photographers use it, and I've used it now for like 3 or 4 different businesses I've worked for.
Nick, we have another question which is almost related. What's your favorite tool to use for Twitter walls?
Okay, so this is an easy one for me. I actually got to spend. I've used, in fact, this week I've used 3 different ones just because clients have already purchased them, so I just run what they've already done. So most of the time though, they let us pick the program. So I've used dozens of these programs, and I have favorites. I have like a top 3, but my top one for sure is one called Tint. And their website is tintup.com. I actually got to spend some time at their office in San Francisco a couple months ago, so I got to see where their product roadmap is going, and they're even doing more robust. But a lot of people call it Twitter walls, and what's really great about their product is it's actually not exclusive to Twitter. It works with the APIs of everything from Instagram to Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. And it's very robust. It's super clean. They have all kinds of templates, and it also creates embed code, so you can make it basically look like anything you want if you want to web embed it and then display it. So I could go on. I could do 30 minutes talking about why I love that product, but that's my favorite.
That might be our next webinar topic, huh, Nick?
I'd love
social media tools.
If people are interested, yeah. I mean, I use it in the real world, in the event world all the time, and I know the folks over there. I mean, if there's interest, tweet at Social Tables. We could do a webinar of not even necessarily just their product, I guess, but just about the value of social media walls.
Great. And we have one other question here. This is a really interesting one. As a venue, what's the best way for us to use current events to promote the venue to future clients? For example, posting current weddings for future brides to see. And then after that, there was another question from Samantha that was also about pictures of guests experiencing the event. Where do you stand in terms of privacy of the event? So I guess first question is, how do you use it for future clients? And then are there any implications when it comes to privacy of those who are involved in the event itself?
Sure. So the first question is how do you use it basically to promote your venue? Is that true? Is that the gist of it?
Looks like, yes. Yes. It looks like there's, how do you use it to promote your venue for future clients?
Sure. For me, it's really about having it be more of a conversation than just a blast of here's the event we did, here's the event we did, here's the event we did. But starting a conversation about things that you know uniquely. As a venue, you have such expertise in so many different areas. You know, putting out information about why insurance matters for their wedding, or why you know, outdoor events sure do look great, but here's the you know, here's the reality of it, right? So leveraging yourself as an expert and what the unique selling propositions of your venue are is really important, as opposed to just showing photos every Monday of the events that took place on Saturday and Sunday, which is so much of what I see from venues. And the other thing that I think venues absolutely miss on, as someone who used to be a marketing director for an on-premise venue, show way too many pictures of beautiful empty rooms. And you don't actually sell empty rooms. You sell, you know, event spaces with people and emotion. So showing that really connects with people way more. Again, selling emotion, number one, and then selling expertise of the things, write down the things that you are the best at, you're uniquely qualified to do, and break that down into, you know, lessons. You're the teacher. Teach your clients why you're so good. The other one is murky when it comes to what can actually happen ramifications-wise of using pictures of people. One of the easiest things to do is build it into your contract with your client that you do take photos of your event and that you know, you'll be using them for marketing purposes. That at least on the client end of it, and at least, you know, the culpability spreads it a little bit. But let's say one of the attendees is somebody, right, and that person objects to how they're being used in media, or your media, social media rather. I have never, in my experience at least, had an issue beyond, I need you to take this down, and me going, okay, and that being it. It's never gone any further than that. It's happened plenty of times. I shouldn't say plenty of times, about 5 or 6 times maybe from an attendee standpoint over the course of, you know, years and years of marketing material that I put out there. So I think making sure that your client signs off on the use of the photography that happens at your venue, but you do have at least a little bit of, you know, grace because it's your building if you're a venue. If you're not a venue, then you just need to make sure, I guess this part of the first question, if you're not like that person from the first question, you just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is something that you do and the client signs off on it. I get plenty of events, even I have a couple this week, that I can't share any of the photos of the events until after the event takes place. That's pretty common practice. If you work for an event planner, oftentimes, and you are a vendor, sometimes they have to be seen as the one that created the event, even though you're a supplier. Communication is really it. You know, just let everybody know you have to market your business, and they have to market their business, and you get it. And just say, if I were to do this, this, and this, would you be okay with it? So as much communication as possible is really the best way to stay safe.
Wonderful. Well, looks like that was it for questions here. So if anybody has any further questions, we would love to continue the conversation on Twitter. So be sure to tag Social Tables and use the hashtag AskST, ST for Social Tables, and then we can go ahead and answer any questions that you have. For those of you that are wondering, we will be sending out both the slides and a link to the recording after the fact. So if you had to log off a little bit early, or you think you have a colleague that might find this really beneficial, you'll have those resources in front of you to forward over. So with that, I wanted to say a big thank you to Nick, for being here on today's webinar. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime. Big fan of Social Tables and everybody at your team. I mean, mostly because you guys get it. I mean, you're doing more than just selling a product and a service. You are becoming, very much leaders in our industry, and it's exciting to contribute to someone who's so invested in raising the bar.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who